running up the score.
Jerry Napoleonello.
This team has been on the clock for 4 months now. Why are we taking this down to the 4-minute mark? You know, you have 10 minutes here. 10 minutes here, but you've had 4 months. The dude's got 1,021 text messages that he hasn't read yet. Did we not notice that?
Kevin Donlin.
Bryce Harper's a great player. He's very, very talented. Aside from last year, but I blame myself. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason for that with fantasy baseball.
That's disgusting.
Wow.
I can't believe that's real. I mean, again, I'm not. I shouldn't hate. I'm not going to be the kind of person that hates.
No,
He is doing enough hating for the both of us.
As a Cowboys fan, the expectations are so high, and it's just, you're dug into the ground by the end of the season.
You're basically like what the Patriots are, but like you try to do it, but you just don't.
No.
Yeah. At least the Jets, you know what I mean? They have excuses.
This is Running Up the Score, your one-stop spot for all things sports. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
Talk about this baseball thing with the Astros.
No, it's not even a baseball thing. It's the Astros.
The Astros thing. And, soon to be the Red Sox thing as well. We'll see what happens with that. But there was a lot of things that went down this past week since we were on the air last week, because we had pitchers and catchers, go into spring training. We also had the players end up in spring training. Report to spring training this upcoming week, this last week or so. So all these players got in front of a microphone and just expressed their displeasure with the Astros and the Astros players, and mostly Rob Manfred, actually.
Well, this all goes beyond, Manfred as well. It took, a solid, 2 weeks? 3 weeks for any player to come out. And there were a select few that came out, like Clevenger and Bauer has been clear cut about it the whole way. But even guys like Judge, some of the bigger names in baseball right now. I mean, you can't be bigger than Clevenger, but again, at the same time, Judge is one of the biggest names in baseball, and it even took him some time to come out. And it's because it's a known fact that these professional sports teams were telling their players to keep quiet on the subject. Or MLB, somebody had to come out with something, or else there would have been a humongous because there is an uproar right now, which means that baseball has given the approval for these players to speak their mind regarding it.
Well, I feel like when it comes to that, you're like the players that we're going to end up hearing from here, because I have clips for each of them. But Mike Trout, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge are three of the players that are becoming the face of baseball right now. So I think, for them, all these other guys that came out either said something on Twitter or were on some kind of podcast and ended up, voicing their displeasure. These guys, I think they're trying to be that Derek Jeter type by, just kind of keeping quiet until there's a time where you just can't keep quiet.
The majority of these players have kept quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's not even just the stars. So there's no doubt in my mind that something was. I mean, this could be a total guess. I have no proof behind this whatsoever, but it's obvious that there was a delay before the initial reaction from just the baseball public. And we're not talking about the fans. We're talking about the players, the coaches, because I haven't heard from a single coach regarding this yet.
Well, Aaron Boone said something about it. And
again, this took time.
Well,
this took time for this to happen.
It was just, all these – we started to hear from all these players and coaches all when pitchers and catchers reported.
Like, why did it take the Houston Astros this long to apologize for it as well? These apologies came out less than 2 or 3 days ago. Including Rob Manfred.
Rob Manfred, I think, is just every time he gets in front of a microphone, something stupid comes out. And I really thought Rob Manfred was actually a good commissioner.
There's no way that's true. Play the clip.
What, Rob Manfred?
Play the clip.
I don't have Rob Manfred because I just couldn't find a perfect clip because everything that he said was stupid. But
honestly, you know what? I think we did everyone a favor with this. If you would have listened to this explanation that he had regarding the situation with the Astros.
He basically gave immunity to the players, and
I'm sorry.
You're thinking about Jim Crane.
Yeah.
I have
that's
Jim
a whole
Crane.
other story. No, but Manfred's handling of this has been unsatisfactory. Is probably the best way to grade it. It's been he doesn't know how to punish this team for this.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Because there are a lot of players out there that are going to, and I think he thinks because of the quiet, overall Major League Baseball that, all the players and coaches and no one really coming out with their true emotions. But there's a lot being said amongst the clubhouses regarding this situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot that went into play. A lot of money went into play with it as well. But even on top of that, he doesn't even know how to handle something like this. I don't think he understands how important this is. That there's 31 other teams out there that are going out there to do everything they can to win a World Series. Okay, and you just worded it as if it was a hunk of metal.
Yeah, and he had to come out and apologize for that.
I
think it was either today or yesterday, but
of course.
But just the fact, like, I'm gonna ask you a question here, and I'm gonna answer it as well. But I want to hear what you like. How would you punish the Astros throughout this whole thing?
I think what it comes down to is it has to be a ban, not permanent by any means. Maybe like a 1, 2, 3. A lot of these players are in their prime, but you did this to yourself. You knew what you were doing. This was not. I told you this story was not going away.
Yeah.
I think maybe Major League Baseball might have thought people were keeping quiet about it. It's not going anywhere. Anything happens even beyond. We haven't even played a regular season baseball game yet. All happened was pitchers and catchers showing up, and having to do interviews with the media, and that's why you're probably seeing more and more of it. Yeah. The fact that they've all kept quiet is very alarming as well. And baseball is in for a rude awakening with this whole situation in so many ways.
Yeah,
the product you put on the field was false. It's probably the best way to put it.
Well, now, I've kind of just gone over this a couple of times and how I would punish the Astros if I was Rob Manfred.
There has to be a ban.
And
to the players, the
problem,
players, the coaches, coaches and stuff have been fired already. That's it.
That's the thing. Like, you're
going to punish
exactly. You're punishing the owner, and you're punishing. Or like you're
imagine
punishing
we started
the
doing
GM
imagine we started doing interviews mid-game of baseball.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like you punish the head coach and you punish the GM. All the Astros had to do was just say, "All right, you're fired." Like, and then that's it. So you like basically the.
And if MLB wants to sit there and put a nail on this that it never happens again, you need to ban their players.
But
certain players.
That's the other problem. So basically, when it comes out to it,
people are going to have to testify. This is going to be a disaster.
The Astros are coming out $5 million, broke. And
all right, so one game of the 162 games of soda prices. I mean,
two, I think it's first and second, round draft picks for the next 2 years, I think, or so. So that's basically it. So to me, there's got to be some way of. I don't know how you punish the players, because you don't know how many players were in on this, and it seems like the whole team was. So even then, now say the Astros for the next 2 years are not allowed to make the playoffs. That's your punishment.
I think it's just a genuine thing. If you were on that team and you weren't guilty of doing anything, then it's a known fact that you're not guilty. And if you want to sit there and come out and say, I had nothing to do with this, publicly, and testify under oath around it based on that, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The system isn't completely destroyed. But these players that are absolutely guilty, that they know that there's proof around the league from guys that came out and spoke publicly about it, proving, hey, man, you were a part of this and you know it. And I think that's where you make the judgment on which players were involved, and there has to be a hefty punishment regarding it.
I actually just thought about
You think
this.
it's grateful to be in
so-
the Major League Baseball, but you were taking money and taking an opportunity out of someone else that works really hard to try to get up to that level.
So this is where I'm at now, because I just thought about this just now. So now you ban the Astros from making the playoffs for the next 2 years.
How do
Okay.
you do something like that?
That's what you do. Okay. So now you're thinking, all right, well, the player that has one year left on his contract just leaves the next year and gets to play for World Series. I say you suspend
That's more
the
along
players
the lines of what this
that
is
have-
a suspension, but it's honestly for
So,
a year or
but,
two
like,
from
just-
Major League
so
Baseball being
say-
exempt from the league.
So say now you have, the Astros are banned from the playoffs for the next 2 years. So now you say, just example, just out there, Altuve has one year left. So now after that 1 year, he's just going to be like, all right, I'm out of here. So he leaves. So then if he does leave the Astros, I think you suspend him for a decent amount of games for that next year. And that's just because there's got to be some way of just suspending the players, because this was a player, generated.
Those are the chairs.
No, I know. That's the second time.
It's funny. I'm surprised you continue to go straight forward with your point. I'm so sorry. I just literally cut off his point in the middle. Continue.
But I feel like you have to, because it's a player generated cheating scandal. Like, we all know, AJ Hinch said that he didn't have anything to do with it. He didn't want it to happen.
Well, there's no proof of anyone coming out and publicly saying that you had anything to do with it, because there won't be if you literally had nothing to do with it. The fact that I'm watching Altuve hold his jersey shut is a proof that Jose Altuve knew what he was doing, and he still went ahead and did this. And I mean, when I'm talking about suspending the players, I mean, he's literally the primetime person I'm speaking of right there.
It's just funny because
there should be a banishment of some sort.
At that time, when he did that, he hit that ball off of Chapman to send his team to the World Series. Okay? You just hit a game-winning home run
That you knew where
against one of the top closers, one of the hardest throwing pitchers in the league, against one of the most prestigious organizations when it comes to baseball and all of sports, really. And the first thing that you're thinking about is not having your jersey ripped off. But then after that, okay, so now he goes down into the dugout, changes his shirt, comes back out for the interview, and then in the interview says, my wife doesn't want me to have my jersey ripped off anymore. Stupid excuse. Okay, then just recently, someone else, I think it was Carlos Correa, who's also talking out of his rear end. He said that Altuve had a new tattoo, and it looked bad. It was on his collarbone.
It's funny that players talk about this to know enough to hide it, but can you please just play the clip of this coach of the I'm sorry, he's the owner, right?
The owner of the Astros first.
Owns them.
We'll play here. So we'll play that here, and then after that I'll play Bellinger, Trout, and Judge, and we'll just react on everything. But here's Jim Crane, and it probably would have been better if he just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, probably.
Our opinion is that this didn't impact the game. We had a good team. We won the World Series, and we'll leave it at that.
Did you say you feel like this didn't impact the game? And what do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game. Basically, as the commissioner said in his report, he's not going to go backwards. It's hard to determine how it impacted the game, if it impacted the game, and that's where we're going to leave it.
So
it didn't impact the game.
Now, mind you, that those two questions, he was talking about. One of the questions was the Yankees said they heard whistling, and they said that game where Chapman ended up giving up the home run. Basically, they were asking Jim Crane what he thought about that. He said that he didn't think that it affected the game. But then, mind you, these two questions were 50 seconds apart. 50 seconds. 5-0. You go from saying, I don't think it impacted the game, to saying, I didn't say it didn't impact the game. Okay. So, what's going on in that head of yours? So, that's just, it started from there. Then, Manfred had his, his press conferences. Just everything was just, out of this world. Just so stupid. But here's Cody Bellinger, and he was actually pretty funny.
I thought the apologies were whatever. I thought Jim Crane's was weak. I thought Manfred's punishment was weak, giving him immunity. These guys were cheating for 3 years. I think what people don't realize is Altuve stole an MVP from Judge in 2017. Everyone knows they stole the ring from us. I know personally I lost respect for those guys. I think I would say everyone in the show, in the big leagues, lost respect for those guys. I don't know what human hits a walk-off home run against Aroldis Chapman to send your team to the World Series. And one has the thought to say, don't rip my jersey off, but two, go in the tunnel, change your shirt, and then come out and do your interview. Like that makes no sense to me. It makes zero sense to me, because I know me. Gary Sanchez said yesterday, you can rip my shirt off, my pants off. I sent my team to the World Series off for Aroldis Chapman in the ninth inning at home. You can do, I'm going crazy.
So he's referring to Gary Sanchez, because Gary Sanchez, the first day that the pitchers and catchers reported, he basically said, if I hit a home run to send my team to the World Series, you could rip my pants off. It don't matter. I just sent my team to the World Series. I don't care what you rip off. And,
it just shows the guilty
true.
situation that Altuve was feeling. He felt guilty for exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and a lot of these players that were involved knew what they were doing was wrong. And honestly, maybe this will work for Major League Baseball, because now Houston, they haven't basically a bad guy.
Yeah.
The bad guys are the Houston Astros.
It's usually
no
the
team.
Yankees.
I understand, but no team is going to have more hate for them than the Houston Astros, and this might not go away in one day.
Yeah.
And Houston, this group of players they have, they better hope they're still special, because it's going to be hard to get to even sell these guys at this point.
And that's actually another thing, because this is what really pissed me off about what Manfred said, is that they have now a thing this year that if any player throws at any of the players in the Astros organization for any type of retaliation, that it's going to be a hefty punishment. So now basically, first of all, you're taking away the high and tight pitch for any pitchers against the Astros. So once again, you're giving the Astros an advantage, something that they've had for the last 3 years. But that's not here nor there, I guess. But I think players should still throw at them. That's just how baseball is run. The players police themselves as just as the NHL is, and it's great for the sport. It is. But it was funny because today Giancarlo Stanton came out and said, if I knew what was coming in 2017, if I knew the pitch that was coming, I would have hit 80 home runs.
Absolutely.
And it's true. So here's his soon-to-be captain of the New York Yankees and teammate, Aaron Judge.
Wasn't a fan of the punishment. I thought that was a little weak for, a player-driven scheme, that no players, involved got any punishments. And then with Bellinger, man, I agree with a lot of the things he said, and he went out there and spoke his mind, and, I really, don't want to get into the, the whole, if Altuve stole a, MVP or not, because that really don't matter. It's over with, man. And, the biggest thing is, I got to make sure next time I don't keep the vote so close, I guess. Try to go out there and win it outright. So there's no question. So he won it, and that's how it is. And That's tough. The whole thing, even, thinking about, who it affected. It didn't only affect us as the Yankees. It affected, like I said earlier, the fans of the game, and even other guys, the guys that lost their jobs because of it, guys that, went into Houston and got beat up a little bit and never made it back to the big leagues. That's another thing for me that's, kind of really can't tolerate that, for the guys that are going there playing it fair and square and, get beat up a little bit and now they're out of a job because of it. That ain't right.
So, I mean, he's 100% right. These are guys, first of all, that, as I said earlier, these are guys that are the face of baseball, and they're ripping the commissioner. And then you even have
the only thing I
James
see from this, I know, and the only thing I see from this is what took so long. I'm a Yankee fan, and I'm all about these players and everything else. What took so long? Why was there a hold on talking about this? I mean, there should have been no doubt about it.
To be honest with you, I honestly think it's because
this was definitely an inside thing, man.
I don't know about that. I think it was mainly because they were not reporting to their team yet. So these guys were all over the place. So they had nothing to do with baseball yet. And
you can't tell me an email or anything else wasn't sent out regarding, I'm sorry, but like they said, Aaron Judge is a big time name. Everyone knows that Altuve and him were runner-up for the MVP that year. You can't tell me that 2 weeks ago the New York Yankees didn't contact Aaron Judge going, if anyone asks you questions regarding that.
Well, he did. I mean, it was kind of a silent statement, but he did make a statement because that year after he found out that Altuve won the MVP and beat him out by a little bit, he tweeted out and
he
tagged Altuve
and
just said, congratulations, but he deleted it. And he said that in his press conference as well.
Of course, I know, and that's all he did was delete it.
Because he said it made me sick to my stomach that I was, that it.
Of course, and he wanted to react somehow.
Yeah.
You have to remember, that was a 2 year ago tweet.
Yeah.
Like, someone is designed to keep track of that.
Yeah.
I mean, between you and me, folks, I mean, that's a little crazy. We're talking someone tweeting 2 years ago, and there's someone that has a job out there to pay attention to people taking things off. It's just, I mean, I understand the drama aspect of it, like I said, but again, at the same time, there's no doubt in my mind, because there's a full league of players that all have an opportunity, especially guys like we talked about, mixing up from trying to get up to the majors or whatever. A lot of these guys have kept quiet regarding the whole ordeal, which is crazy, because if you truthfully feel like this was a injustice kind of a thing to do, especially when you hear the, Major League Baseball speak out on it and not punish any of these guys, all right, so what is the big deal for every team to do it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what are you doing to the game of baseball at that point? Again, it made it a more exciting thing, and the Astros were one of the best offenses in whoa, third time's a charm, baseball. But at the same time, it was what's the best way to word this? It was tainted, I guess, is the best way to put it.
So here's Mike Trout on what he thinks.
I don't agree with the punishments. The player's not getting anything. It was a player-driven thing. It sucks because, like you said, a guy's career's been affected. A lot of people, lost jobs. It was tough. It would be me going up to the plate knowing what's coming. It'd be pretty fun up there. So, it's just like I said, a lot of guys lost respect for some of the guys, and it seems like every day something new comes out. So,
how do you feel about those guys?
I got close relationships with all them guys, and it's tough seeing stuff when it comes out. A lot of guys reached out to me, and it's tough. Like I said, it's not good for baseball, and it's sad to see.
Guys from the Astros reached out to you?
Yeah, a couple guys. I'm not going to name any names.
No,
but,
what was it basically the message? Were they apologizing? Were they trying to explain themselves?
Just trying to explain what happened. You read a lot of stuff in the paper, and once you read something, a lot of people jump to that conclusion. But sometimes it's right, sometimes it's false. It's like I said, it was a tough off season to see that as a baseball player, and you just hope Major League Baseball cleans it up and play good baseball from here on out.
What's your view of that World Series championship?
It's tough. because you don't know, what helped them, what not. But if you know what's coming, it's gonna definitely help you. I think that's, it's tough. You're taking the trophy away, taking the rings away. I think they should definitely do something. I don't know what, but to cheat like that and not get anything, it's sad to see.
So that's exactly what we were saying.
And, honestly, just listening to that interview is my perfect example, and I would like to close on this because I think this is honestly like what really is the the big picture here. And the fact is that clearly, you see the media just trying to fetch anything they can out of the face of baseball, just for a story. That's all I see when I see this interview. I know what the Astros did was wrong. We've talked to so many players about it already. But you just trying to go out there and get a side of Mike Trout that doesn't exist because he doesn't want to be bothered. What happened. This is over, But at the same time, what you want me to say? I'm mad at these guys? I'm angry about these guys? Like, oh, they can go to hell? And there are some guys coming out and saying that.
But, I mean, he basically, the extent that he went to was just he lost respect for him. That's what he said.
Yeah, but he's the face of baseball, and obviously it's a very common thing to lose the respect. But they were trying to feed that out of him, and they were able to get that little bit out of him, But I mean, asking a question like, "What do you think of the World Series in 2017?" It's like, I don't know, man. The Angels weren't anywhere near it, so like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of statement is that to say towards
I mean, that's
me?
more of a judge question.
Of course,
and more of
absolutely.
but
you're trying to
Cody
get
Bellinger
and without
question.
a doubt, Mike Trout is the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
Without a doubt,
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is a very good player.
Mike
Trout is at another
overall,
level.
Yeah,
and what he brings to baseball, he's like a bright spot in the game of baseball.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, this story is going nowhere. Okay, we got reports of even fans, season ticket holders suing the Astros over this ordeal because, again, like we said, folks, it's very common that when you are doing really well, that you're going to wound up, charging more money to view your team.
And that's what they did.
And that's exactly what they did. And then you got your owner saying that these didn't impact the game, but I think this gentleman who is actually suing, I'm not going to give a name out, but he is suing the Houston Astros, and he's a season ticket holder for them. You're a fan of the Astros, and you're suing them because what you put on the field was tainted, wasn't real, and what did I pay for?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue that. I mean, good luck to the Houston Astros and their representatives on arguing that. Yeah. But this gentleman certainly has a point. And like I said, this story is not going anywhere. And it's a big problem for baseball. And again, I think the only way you're going to be able to get rid of this going forward as well is you need to make a statement regarding the players that are absolutely, no doubt, and knowingly guilty parties. Don't want to rip my shirt off because my wife won't allow it or didn't approve of it.
Or had a bad tattoo.
Mr. Altuve, you know you're guilty here.
It's just crazy because everybody
and you're not
at
alone.
This guy is like one of the best in the league, and it's like now it's just,
Well, he's got something to prove, and I think he's going to be the best. I know.
But like this is where we were talking about with steroids and everything like that is like, all right, well, is he that good? Like, is he that good?
It's a whole deal over again.
Now, if he does have a good season this year, it's going to be like. But what about cheating again?
But what about the rest of his team?
Yeah,
and again, there'll be a lot more that goes into
Bregman,
play.
Same thing,
of course. And Bregman is definitely guilty as well because all of a sudden this guy Bregman had an amazing year.
Yeah,
I mean, I know people that I talk fantasy baseball with that are saying I'm not even going to decide to draft this guy because you do not know what to expect.
Yeah. But so more details on that whole NFL thing. Now they're talking about plus. Including with the the playoff being expanded to 7 teams in each conference, the regular season would be increased to 17 games per team, and the preseason shortened to 3 games per team.
I like it. I think the NFL season is a big hit, and I think the NFL wants to maximize its profits. And if you have any chance of
it's just one more game,
but at the same time, it's a lot more money.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
You talk about the fourth preseason game attendance compared to the first regular season game is a big difference.
Yeah.
In every regard, you could charge more money, and you know it.
Absolutely.
And the NFL needs more money if you have any chance of especially with these quarterbacks and what they're expecting. No offense to yours and Dak Prescott. I mean, you're destroying these teams with the salary cap.
Yeah.
But the NFL teams only have these guys obviously make a lot of money, but there's a lot of people that work for these organizations. It's not just
For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.